It didn't.
Yeah, live. It's live.
It is? Oh, can you hear me? It didn't do the video for some
I,
reason.
yeah, you can hear. You can hear you. You should.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? I'm gonna open the chat on my phone. Um, I'm so sorry this took so long. I was on the phone with Thorwald trying to figure it out, but I think we've got it now. Alright, let me open the chat on my phone. Yes. And I've got an ad. Alright. I'm just gonna make sure you guys can hear me. I see yes. Yo, yo. Okay, let's go. Alright. Sweet. I'm gonna put the chat right in front of me here. Okay, let's make sure, just double check that I've got my you guys can hear my oh gosh. The CPU is like crashing. Okay. We're gonna let it chill out for a second here, but I think you should hear Ableton once it starts going. You can see up in the top corner it's like dying. Okay, well, while Ableton gets its stuff together, I've got a little sheet here with everything I'm going to talk about today. It seems like a lot, but it's going to be great. So I'm pretty much going to talk to you guys all about how to use your voice in your songs, and that's really a lot more than just singing on your songs. You know, using your voice more as a tool and figuring out how it sounds best to you in your songs. So let me just go back to this real quick. I was going to start by playing one of my songs for you guys and showing you how I use my voice in that song. But since Ableton's kind of freaking out, I'm going to give it a little second and just talk to you guys about first finding your voice. So I think one thing that is really I'm going to check my buffer size on Ableton. Let me fix this. Okay, set it to 2048. Okay. I'm going to do that. All right. So one thing that I think is something that's like really important when you're starting to use your voice in your songs is like figuring out, it sounds really stupid or not stupid, but like really like Oh yeah, of course, but finding out what key works for you. A lot of people, like, they'll try to sing really high or really low, and it just doesn't work, but it's what they think that they should sing. I think really finding what key works for you is more important than you'd think, because all of a sudden you might like how your voice sounds way better than you did before, and that could all really just be dependent on like what key you're singing in. So then what else do I have here? What range? Same thing as key pretty much, but also really important. Do you want to belt, or do you want to sing really softly? Or are you just scared to belt but you're really good at it? Or do you want to go more on the Billie Eilish side and go really soft, For me, something that I've found is doubling my vocals really like makes it come to life for me. It makes it so that way I'm way more confident. So I tend to double my vocals, like no matter what kind of thing I'm singing. If it's really soft or if it's a big belty thing, just doubling it adds more dimension, and it makes me feel way more confident in my voice no matter what I'm doing. So let me try and go back to Ableton though and see if I can get this working, so I can show you what I mean in real life here. Okay, I'm gonna fix my preferences just really quickly. Okay, we're gonna try this. And also, I'm gonna get the chat going here so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay. Can you hear that? I think you should be able to. If so, that is amazing. You guys hear this? Could you hear that? Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna assume we can hear it. Yes. Okay, amazing. Great. Okay, then actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play through this song that I think is a really good representative of, or a really good example of how I use my voice in one of my songs, and just like how I feel like, it was used in a powerful way rather than just me singing on my song, but I made intentional choices, and I'll kind of walk through those choices. But first I'll just play through the song. So fingers crossed that this works, and let's go. Promises that we can make, consuming us for what we know. In front of us, they fall apart, all backed into a corner. So when they fall apart, gather the pieces of the lonely. It's called Back and Forth, the song. one of my recent, part of a double single. I'm really excited about this song. Yeah. Sorry about the little stutters there. We did it. We listened to a whole song on Ableton without it crashing. All right, that is an achievement within itself. If I'm being honest, I'm still trying to get used to, now that we're live, I've been trying to figure this out for like an hour, and now that I'm live, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. So I got to think, I've got to get my mind in the game now. We're in it. Okay, so this song, like, as you could see just by the playthrough, there's like a bunch of ways that I use my vocal. Obviously I'm singing, but there's vocal chops and chops that I use more as like a textural sense, or a rhythm, used it for its rhythm and not for its melody. I think that's like one of my primary like tactics when I'm writing vocals. One of my main inspirations is like Hayley Williams from Paramore, and what she does is she writes vocals that are very rhythmic in nature. So first you're, really looking to make a solid rhythm before you even think about the melody, like rhythm that plays with the beat. So the first thing I actually did on this song was, let me see if I can find this little chop. I made a little vocal chop, and that with the guitar was the bass for the song. So let me find this. I think it's yeah, so it was just, this was the bass of the first like little blip I made of the song. So like this was kind of the bass for it, and I was like, all right, now I gotta put vocals over this. But this little part here, like, there are melodic elements to it, but for me, like, the main reason that I was excited about it was the rhythm that it brought to it. So then after that, let's see, we've got some vocals. Let me pull those up. Promises that we can, consuming us for what we know. In front of us, they fall apart, all backed into a corner. So you can tell, like, from those vocals on their own, they're very rhythmic, like, especially that end part right here. They fall apart, all backed into a corner. Like, that right there was kind of like, it was all rhythm first, so that was what was in my head. So then when I put the melody to that and I liked it, I was like, man, that is a win. Because sometimes, or most of the time when you sing stuff, at least for me, you don't like it right away because it's your voice, and that's a hard thing to get over. Like, it's your voice, and a lot of people don't even like to hear themselves talk, let alone sing. So finding a way to like that and like hearing your own voice in a song is something really important. And so let me show you a couple ways that I was able to make myself like how my voice sounded on this song in particular. So one thing that I mentioned I did all the time is doubling. So here is the main vocal. And I will say, when I take all of the individual pieces of the vocals and separate them out, sometimes the doubles or the harmonies don't sound that great on their own, and that is okay, because all that you need to sound great is the whole bus as a whole. If all of your vocals, when they're put together and put in the song, sound great, then that's great. Like, you don't need for every little piece to sound great on its own. So, disclaimer, it might not sound great on its own, but here is the main vocal while I take a sip of water on its own.
Promises that we can live, consuming us for what we know. In front of us, they fall apart, all backed into a corner.
Okay, so we'll just stop at that bar. And then you put the double in. Like I said, it's really great tool to beef up your vocals a lot. I love it. And I usually will pan it a little bit to the right so it's not like you get this like phase cancellation effect, because it's not the same like audio file for my doubles. I will always record another vocal of the same exact vocal instead of, you really don't want to copy and paste the vocal because then you'll get a sort of like phase cancellation, or not sort of, you will get that. So here's the double, which is a separate recording of me singing the same thing.
Promises that we can live, consuming us for what we know. In front of us, they fall apart, all backed into a corner.
So you can already hear, like, that is way more full, and it sounds just like, it makes me sound so much more confident in myself listening to my vocals. So yeah, I would highly recommend it if it feels like it's a fit for the song. The only time I will not use a double is if I feel like there's like a lyric or a specific part of the song that really needs its own attention. Like it needs to be heard on its own and be like that vulnerable thing. It's kind of rare for me to be like, I don't need a double, but it's totally okay, and don't take this as like you always need doubles or anything like that. So next up is harmonies. I love harmonies. I'm a big advocate for harmonies. When I started in music, I was in a rock band and I did not want to sing at all. I played lead guitar and all I wanted to do was play lead guitar. But then we were doing songs that needed harmonies and they were like, Molly, will you sing harmonies? And I was like, what is that? I don't want to sing. So that's kind of how I got into harmonies. And ever since, it's it's a funny thing to be a huge fan of, but I am. Ever since I put harmonies in everything, and they're a really great tool for multiple reasons. Let me see, I made a little outline here, but I'm touched on doubles as background vocals. But okay, yeah. So for harmonies, I note that I think it's important to place them somewhere where you want a specific feeling to sort of be felt. Whether that be like the line, like the lyric that you're saying, and you want some message to be even more powerful by putting a harmony on it, or just that the melody itself sounds really nice with the harmony, but make it intentional. So let me show you where I've got harmonies here.
Promises that we can live, consuming us for what we know. In front of us, they fall apart, all backed into a corner.
Okay, so I've got some more harmonies back there, but so you can see one thing I did here was I put a drone harmony, which just means that I'm singing the same note for the entire harmony. It's not changing, no matter how the main melody is changing, it's just a drone. That's a really great tool that I would say to just add interest to your harmonies instead of doing thirds and fifths and sevenths or whatever you usually do, which is totally fine. But I do use a drone here. So all the same note. But then here, right here,
they fall apart.
On They Fall Apart, I go up and do a higher harmony, because to me that line was like needed some more accentuation. It needed something to deliver that line more. So I went away from the drone and went to that instead. We can hear the rest of the harmonies here.
So when they fall apart, gather the pieces up alone in the dark by yourself. It shouldn't be that hard, but look at where we are, sitting back up on the shelf. And so I will go back and forth, and I'm starting to go back to worse.
So that's kind of a glimpse into all of my harmonies on this song. I do have like a little note on my page that I love. It's not in this song in particular, so I can actually pull up another project maybe a little later to show you, but something I love to do if I feel like there is something lacking in my mix, whether it be like mid-range, just like something in my mid-range that isn't being filled by a guitar or a synth in the right way. I love to do like what I call a bed of ooze, which is just ooze like OOHS, not OOZE, where I will just go ooh and then layer it like 8 times. So it'll be like the main ooh and then a double of that ooh and then a harmony of that ooh and then a double of that harmony and then a new harmony and then a double of that new harmony. And then I will sort of like make it into a stereo image where some of the harmonies are panned certain ways in the opposite directions. And it'll create like this bed of like the perfect mid-range that you didn't know that you needed that fills your mix like just so perfectly. That's something that I do a lot. Like sometimes when I can't come up with a new instrument to put in there, I'll go, oh, you know what, like my voice is an instrument, so why don't I just do my little ooze trick, and fill my mix out that way. And I really am enjoying that. So I would say give it a try if you're just like you don't know what to do next in your project and you haven't done many vocals. Try it out. I wish it was in this project so I could show you, but yeah. Do we have any questions so far? Maybe I should slow down. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm reading the chat. I see that someone said they don't like listening to themselves either. It's totally a thing. And that's okay. I think that's everyone, no matter how like successful or how many people tell you that you sound great. It's like it doesn't matter because you always feel like maybe you don't. I mean, some people do, and that's great. So if you feel like you sound great, stick with it. Definitely stick with it. Let's see what else. Yeah, unfortunately we couldn't get the stream going on YouTube, but it will be up there as well. So sorry about that. Yeah, but do we have any questions at this point? No? Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to move on to vocal chops. So there's a lot of reasons to use vocal chops. I like to use them for a couple of reasons. So like on my song From You that came out on Goldie and Finch, the main melody in it is a vocal chop. And that's pretty much, I guess I would call it the chorus of the song is like the main melody in the chorus is a vocal chop. So, it's a good thing in your head to not think of vocal chops in one way, like, oh, they're just like little accent pieces, or they can only be in a chorus, or they can only be in a verse, or they can't be the main melody, because they can. And I think just like broadening what you think a vocal or a vocal chop can be used for is really helpful. So in this song, I use it sort of like as an outro melody. So I'm gonna play where I have a vocal chop here. If I can find it. Well, we're just gonna go here. Cool. So here, the main vocal chop. I can go through the effects channel too on this. I think it's really interesting. Because like I said about like singling out different parts of your vocal, and it not sounding great, like each individual part, this vocal chop sounds so weird when it's not in the mix. Don't let that scare you. Some things can sound like they're not quite right until they're in the right mix, and then they sound like they're perfect and they're made for that. So don't let that like scare you when you're making parts of just any part of any song. So here, if we hear the vocal chop on its own, here's how it sounds. It's filtered right now, but the filter will come out here. So here's the filter out. Yeah, so it sounds like what, like an alien or something, like very weird, like not a voice. So basically the chain that I have here on these chops, I can go ahead and show you. I've got autotune on there. Important note about autotune, just like use it. It's fine. No one cares, and everyone is using autotune. So if you were up until now were like, I'm too scared to use autotune because people are gonna judge me that I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. I've heard maybe 2 people who I was shocked to hear sing perfectly in the studio. But like, really, don't be afraid to use autotune. And in this case, I'm not even using it on like a vocal part, which it is on all of the vocal parts. But I'm using on a vocal chop, so like not even something I'm like performing. So the first thing on here is autotune. Honestly, the basic autotune, just like the autotune access one, which you can see I have, it does the job. It's great. And then next, I love this plugin, Vocal Synth. Sometimes when you load this up, it goes to its default. Yeah, okay, well it did. So I'm not exactly sure what. It might have been just the default mode that I was using here, and then I brought it down. But basically, the vocal synth just adds a lot of texture. So I'm going to play it again and then turn the vocal synth off, and then I'll put it on so you can hear what it does. So that's without the vocal synth. And here's with the vocal synth. It's like a huge difference. It adds sort of like that robot quality that I was saying. It sounds weird on its own, but blends so nicely into the mix. And then the last thing I have on here, which isn't something I always do, I think I just thought it sounded good. Maybe that is what it made it sit well in the mix. I can't quite remember because I did make this song a little while ago. But chorus is just a great thing to use when you want something to sound more full. You have to be a little careful with it. You don't want to put chorus on too many things because then it'll sort of get like cluttered with too many things being like, I am the stereo focus. So be careful with it, but in this case, here's sort of the difference it made. And then here's with it. It's really subtle, but I think it's nice. I see a couple comments in here, so let me see. Never actively noticed these chops. Oh, yeah, thank you. I love them. I think they're just like a cool instrument in the track, you know? I think of it as an instrument. Does it also add a delay reverb effect? The vocal synth I think you're talking about. Let me check if I had it on there. Yeah, I think I do have a slight delay on here. That's something that I didn't turn on personally. It was just like in the preset, I think. But yeah. And then so we heard it on its own. So here is it in the mix. it just like sits so nicely in the mix when on its own it sounds like it's going to be like so abrasive. I think the reason, and like another thing that I wanted to talk about is like vocals being like a texture thing. Like choosing the way you're going to affect your vocal with texture in mind. So like if I have all of these soft synths and things that are like super chill, like, you know, what is this synth? Probably. Yeah, it's like super soft. I know Ableton's glitching, but like, you know, you get the idea. It's very like chill sounds. I've got acoustic guitar, again, really, really chill. So, but that acoustic does like add a lot of texture, but you can see what I'm saying. There's a lot of like chill sounds in here. So I wanted something to kind of break that up a bit. And to me, putting that vocal synth on the chop and making it sound like so like weird and kind of pointy and, you know, textury in that way, like breaks the mix up a lot. And it's just like a good tool to like make your mix more dynamic. Let me see. You've got a couple comments in here. How do I make my tracks just as audio on session view? Oh, are you talking about, make my chops. How do I make my chops just as audio? Are you asking? Okay, so I think I know what you're asking. Okay, let me go. So the way that I do my chops, and let me see. I don't remember which sample I pulled from to get this, but I'm assuming it was just one of my vocals. So I'll just walk you through how to make a vocal chop, how I do it, you know, what's the process I go through. So let's try that. Hopefully that answers your question, because I don't want to like mess with this track since it's like done. But let me make a new one. So, okay, here's what I would do. I would go to my vocal. Usually I will actually record the whole vocal bus to make a track or to make a chop that's more dynamic. So like that, when I say record my entire vocal bus, I mean this. So everything, the lead, the doubles, and the harmonies will all go into one track. So here's what that would sound like if I recorded the whole thing. Let's just do that. Let's do the whole thing. All right, here we go. Which I think that is what I did because it looks like I'm about to do exactly what I did. So that's great. Let's do that. So I'm going to make a new audio, which is just Command T. We can do a little Ableton hacks too. And then I'm going to set the input to the vocal bus. So where are my vocals? I think it was just Fox lowercase. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. So here what I'm doing is just basically recording my entire vocal bus on a separate audio channel. So I'm going to do that. Just going to arm it and then record it.
So when they fall apart, gather the pieces up alone in the dark by yourself.
Okay, so now I have this, which should be all the vocals.
So when they fall apart, gather the pieces up alone in the dark.
Ableton looks confusing. I love it. I haven't tried FL Studio, but I have a lot of friends who use it. But I feel like once you get Ableton, you become so loyal to it. I love it so much. I started on Logic, and going to Ableton after that, it was so confusing, like really confusing. But then once you get the workflow of Ableton, and like the stock plugins in Ableton are so nice. The glue compressor, the reverb, the EQ, like literally everything I use all the time. So okay, let's show this. So okay, I'm gonna call this just vocal. I've got my mic in front of my keyboard, something like this. Just vocal bus. Okay. So then is vocal synth a stock plugin? No, unfortunately not. But you could use something. You could just use like a vocoder and try and add texture that way. You'd link the vocoder to like a synth maybe in your track, and then, you know, like sort of like get a Daft Punk kind of effect. So, okay. So what we've done so far is I recorded the vocal bus and we got this. So I think this answers your question of how do you get it to audio. So there's that. So it's not MIDI yet. It's all audio. So now is where it becomes MIDI and I make a chop out of it. So what I do is just right click and then I select slice to new MIDI track. And you can select like, do you want it to slice by eighth note, quarter note, half note? Let's just do quarter note. And then I'm going to click OK. So then it will make a new MIDI track. If it loads. Okay. It'll make a new MIDI track. So you can mute this audio track because now it's all in here. All right. So this is the vocal bus chop that we're going to make. All right. So now I'm going to select all these. It automatically just like puts it in a step. It like uses all of the notes and fills it into the piano roll, but we're going to just delete all of them. And then what we'll do is just, I have a thing set up here, like a little keyboard. That just means that I can use my keyboard, like that I use to like type on my computer as my keyboard. So we're going to do that. Okay. So I'm going to go into here. Let's see. Can you hear anything yet? No. Okay. That means that I'm not quite there. Okay. Oh, down a couple. Okay, so can you hear that? When I click a key, it triggers something. You can hear it. So we don't have to do that by using our keyboard as the MIDI keyboard. You could just draw it out here. So let's see. I'm going to create a new chop because this isn't, I don't think I used the same exact audio sample. But basically what it did, I should probably explain. What it did here was it just took my audio that I recorded of my entire bus. It sliced it in whatever like form that you want it to, by quarter note, by eighth note, by anything. I think it lets you just choose whatever you want, like you saw. And then each one of these keys represents that note. So a quarter note, and then it just goes across your entire sample and samples the whole thing. And then each key is its own chop. And so that's pretty much it. That's how you make a vocal chop. I will say, try and disable your effects. Like I did not do that. I did do it in when I recorded my regular, like the chop that I used in the song, but not right now. You're gonna want to disable like your reverb and your delays in your when you record the audio to use for your chop, because you don't like want delay in your chop, or maybe you do sometimes, but probably not reverb. Like if we listen to the one here, I don't believe that there is any delay or reverb. Well, so there is delay, but that was added from vocal synth. So here there should be no delay. I might be incorrect, actually. I think I may have used, like, totally done what I said don't do. But you know what? Okay, that just shows that it's fine to make mistakes. And sometimes when you do things that you think you're not supposed to do, it doesn't matter because it sounds great anyway. But anyway, okay, so now we are back here to our chop. So let's just make a new chop. Whoa. Okay, my computer is stuttering so bad from streaming and trying to use Ableton. Let's just go and solo this. Okay, alright, Ableton does not want to cooperate, but I think you understand that is exactly like what I did here. Like you can see I drew... Yep. Oh my gosh, Ableton is not happy today. Yes, rules were meant to be broken. Honestly, one thing that I love to do, this is like, it's not technically vocal related, so, you know, give me a break there, but I like to put vocal synth, that plugin that I showed you, this one right here, on guitars. It sounds kind of weird, but again, it goes like along with that texture thing that I mentioned. Sometimes you'll have a guitar line that is just meant to be percussive or just meant to add texture. Don't be afraid to use plugins that are meant for vocals on your guitar, or plugins that are meant for guitar on your vocals. Like, if it sounds good, then who cares? It doesn't matter. You could totally do anything like that. Yeah, so that's chops. And then we got regular vocals. Oh, I did want to mention, actually, do we have any questions before I move on? Anyone? How many people? There's 13 people watching. I can't believe that. Oh my gosh. Earlier today, I was like, Thorwald texted me. He was like, hey, you all good to have the stream going in like an hour? I was like, yeah. Or maybe it was like a few hours ago. I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, I've streamed before. I streamed like not that long ago. I've got everything set up, loaded before time. Yeah. No, we'll be great. And then I get on to like start figuring out and setting it up a half hour before. I'm like, oh no. So it's not working and I don't know why. And then I look on my Twitch and I haven't streamed for 2 years. Like, yeah, that just happened, but okay. Anyway, okay. Do I have a chop melody in mind when writing regular vocals, or do I do it retroactively? That's a great question. I think it can kind of go either way. Like, for instance, on my song, how about I open up a new song, a new set, and show you guys. I'm going to show you a situation where I had the chop melody in mind before, and then I did the regular vocals after. So let me show you that. So, like, yes and no. And thank you for the questions. I appreciate it. It's hard to, like, think of things just to say about vocals, you know, because it can seem like a small topic. But hopefully this is showing you that you can do a lot with your vocals rather than just singing. On part two, yeah. Oh, yeah. On part 2, for sure. So that song I made first as a live edit to, like, a live outro to Only If I Had To, which is one of my, so if you don't know, which you probably don't know because it wasn't released on Bitbird, and I'm just a little small artist, but I released a double single called Only If I Had To and Part 2. Only If I Had To is just, like, you know, a regular, like, electronics song, but, like, kind of indie with, like, vocals, like me singing as the main part. And then part 2 is kind of like a house outro that I just made to play live for the tour that I did this past summer. And it ended up, like, just coming together really nicely, and everyone really liked it, so I decided to release it. But the whole concept between part 2 is that it just uses the vocals from Only If I Had To as the chops, and in the little, like ad-libs, I guess, it's all Only If I Had To vocals. So yeah, that was very intentional, and it was just, like, to, like, further the point that it was, like, a part 2 of that song. So now we're in the project for From You, which is the one that I released on Goldie and Finch. So this would be the one that anyone knows if they know any of my songs. And if Ableton wants to play it, yes, let's go. All right. By the way, I'm wearing my bitbird merch. I don't know if you can see it, but staying on brand. Okay, I'm sorry about this. Ableton. I got it. This is a sign. If there was ever a sign to get a new computer. But man, you're so enthusiastic. I appreciate it. Even through the buffering, you're so enthusiastic. Thank you for staying in the chat. I appreciate it. Okay. There we go. Oh. That was kind of cool. Okay, it's kind of doing some cool chopping things, not gonna lie. That was pretty sick. Um, okay, so let me go back to your question here. Do I have a chop melody in mind? Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna show you. So, this song originally did not have any, like, traditional vocals on it. It was just the vocal chop. And then when I sent it to Bitbird, they were like, hey, do you want to put some, like, maybe a melody over this, like a top line? Yeah, Starter House Mix, let's go. And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of like just like an instrumental, I think. Like it should just be the vocal chop. But then I like retroactively put that that secondary melody over it. So yeah, this one was very vocal chop centered from the beginning. So here we go. I'll show you the vocal chop. You know, I like make labels in my projects, but then when I'm streaming, I get nervous and I can't find anything. So here's the regular vocal. But let me find the chop. Oh, Vox chops. There it is. It's like right there in front of me. Okay. Okay, yeah. We're just gonna roll with the fact that it's stuttering because it's cool. I think I can still get the point across, so we're gonna do our best. So, all right. What we got here for the chops. You can see that it's flattened, which just means I made the chop in MIDI exactly like I showed you before by recording the audio, then slicing it into a MIDI track, playing it out on my keyboard, and then the next step would be what you see here, which is flattening it, freezing it, and then flattening it into audio, so that way you can kind of manipulate it easier. So I definitely manipulated it, and you can see what I did here. So here's just the regular chop, like it's affected, I think, just by by auto-tune, but nothing more that I can remember. Let's hear. Yeah, so it's pretty just like natural, like my voice chopped. Okay, and then because it's audio, then what I did here is I pitched it down 12, which just makes it lower octave, and then you get this. And you could hear the full audio quality if it wasn't starting, so just imagine it's nice and full and amazing. Okay, and then here I have another layer of that same chop, again, the same audio but now pitched. Let's see. What did I do here? Okay. So this actually isn't pitched down at all. This one was the natural version, right? And then this one I put vocal synth on to, again, create that texture, and then panned it far right. And then with this one, I believe it's the same thing, and then pan far left. So then when you hear them all together, it's like this huge, like, stereo image. Just so much better than, like, what it is on its own. And then here I go even one step further by adding a harmony. And then here, so wait, actually, let's hear that with that additional harmony. Okay, and then I go even further, and I add another harmony here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I knew it was going to happen. I could see it up there. The MIDI, oh my gosh, my CPU. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. I think we know what we're hearing here. It's just another harmony. But again, oh, that's really cool. Okay. All right. Might have to make another song after this with just the stuttering. How do I pitch the samples to the harmonic notes? That's a good question. Okay. So here, you can see, I think I flattened this one, and that's why you can't see it there. But let me show you on the octave. So basically, you're going to go into the audio. I don't know if you have Ableton if it's not Ableton, I'm sure that there's something similar. But you just go into your audio file, and then can you see my cursor? Yeah, I believe you can. So right here, it shows like a little pitch knob, and all you do is just go as many steps as you need to the left or the right, and that's how you pitch it. So here I went 12 to the left, which is just going to be an octave. So hopefully does that help? Does that clear it up? Again, I'm sorry. I know you can't quite see what's going on there. Or you can't hear it. You can see it. So I just pitch it by ear. Or do the steps translate to an exact? They do translate to an exact note difference. So it's 12 steps would be a full octave. And then, just as you go, it will translate. So 3 would be like a third, 5th, 7th, I believe. I'm like so out of my theory like brain. I just know like some things about Ableton like made no sense to me, and then you just do it a million times and you forget what you're doing. You just know that's what you have to do, Let's see if this will play now. Okay. Yeah, FL presents it as sense. Yeah. So I think you actually can do it like that. It's just sense are way more precise, like small increments. Steps is like what you would use on guitar or something like that. It's just like another way of saying it, but steps is just definitely more straightforward and measurable. Yeah. So for these chops, this was like literally all I had in this song were the chops. There were no regular vocals whatsoever. And so the vocals came second. So yeah, your question about me using chops first definitely applies to this song. You can see the vocals come in. Oh man. Okay. Well, basically the vocals come in when there's nothing going on, and that's the whole point that I want to make with this. Use vocals when they're needed. The reason why they were like, do you want to add a vocal to this is because there was nothing happening there and I was overusing my vocal chop. So definitely use your vocals in like a strategic sense, use them where they're needed and take them out where they are not needed. That's also like a big thing. You really don't want to like overdo it and just putting vocals everywhere where they're needed, like, or where they're not needed. Like I kind of get into like this funk where I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna make a song. Yeah. So I'm gonna make a song, so that means that I have to have a verse, a chorus, a second verse, another chorus, a bridge, chorus, done, right? That's not how I made this song. This was like a huge leap for me in terms of like changing my process of where vocals go. Again, very vocal chop centric. And me singing on it was not even something I was going to do in the first place. So try and like get rid of those boundaries that you feel like are set for you, because literally no one is actually telling you that's what you have to do. That's just something that like you think in your head because that's what you hear in pop music or, certain electronic music. It's that. Yeah. So don't feel like you have to do the same thing everyone else is doing. I wanted to talk a little bit about scatting, like vocal scatting, and how you can come up with melodies. So let me play the part where I actually sing. Again, I'm gonna find here it is. Okay, let's play this. Oh my gosh, I really thought it would chill out by now. You can see that little orange bar at the top right of the screen, you can see how it's like full and it says like 117 or 100 and whatever it says. That's just like it overloading the CPU. Okay. Well, you know what we could do? Oh, it's going back down because I clicked outside the project. Okay. All right, I'm going to play this vocal for you. So that's not how it sounds. Is this like a hack to making stutter remixes or what? Okay. All right, we can explain this without hearing it. Yeah, let's do that. Let's pretend there was no song, and now I'm just going to explain to you how I make my vocal melodies. Because, you know, a Molly Otto Stutter House EP, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much writing itself. I mean, come on. At this point, we've got an album, not even an EP. Okay, I'm getting feedback on how to fix this. So let me check this real quick. Yeah, so I've done that. But it's still freaking out. Let's try this. Sorry. Please feel free to like put some more comments or questions in the chat while we try and get this going. All right. You know what? Here's what we'll do is I'm going to load up that other project again because this is a better example of what I'm trying to say of like how to scat melodies. So let's do this. Let's get Son to troubleshoot. Yeah. Sure, he'd love that. No, I feel so bad. I was like just like panicking before the stream trying to get everything set up. Like, I'm so sorry. I really should stream more so that way this doesn't happen. Or honestly, just get a new computer because that is why it's having such a hard time. But we're going to get this new project up and try and explain scatting. But basically, if you don't know what scatting is, all it is, it's very... Thank you. I'm glad you're learning. And everything that I say is just stuff that I've learned from what I've done. It is not a handbook of like the way that things should be done. Hopefully that's what you learn from this, is that there is no right way to do things. The way you do things and it works is the right way. Use a vocal plug-in on your guitars. No one cares. If it works, it works. And then that applies to this next thing that hopefully this project is much more compliant with, because I think it is smaller than the last project. So we're gonna get our vocals going again, these same vocals from that last song.
In front of us,
yeah, much better.
they fall apart, all backed into a corner. So when they fall apart, gather the pieces up alone in the dark by yourself.
Oh yeah, that little bar up there is much better. It's still really high, but we're getting it and you can hear the vocals now. All right. So scatting is basically, I have that melody in my head, or not even, maybe I don't even have a melody in my head. Let's just see. I'm going to demonstrate. This could be embarrassing. So warning. But I'm just going to sing like scatting would just be coming up with a melody that you have as the track is playing to help come up with ideas. So you just go like, and then you have like a really embarrassing recording in your phone of you singing that. That's the best part. But yeah, you just come up with melodies as the song plays. You're coming up with ideas. You might have lyrics. You might have no lyrics. Scatting is a really great tool to come up with lyrics. So maybe I just came up with that melody randomly while I was listening to the song, or I was listening to the track that I have, and I really like it. But now I have to write lyrics. Like, I always fall into this trap of oh yay, I have melodies, but now I have to make make lyrics that are good. Sounds like, yes, it's exactly like the sounds you make when you're trying to explain a song to someone, but you forgot the words. Yeah. So just imagine that happened. You don't know the words, but in your scat, it kind of sounds like I'm saying promises that we can end, right? Like there's a syllable there or some sound that sounds like it could be this word. So then you write all of those little words down, like, okay, this kind of sounds like this, and this line, like you're subconsciously saying words, but you don't even have lyrics yet. You don't know what you want the song to be about, or maybe you have an idea. But letting lyrics fall into place that way is a really great tip. So it's a really great tip, yeah. So like just scatting a melody, and then all of a sudden you sort of have like a format for what your lyrics are going to be. I love, and I would highly recommend, have paper that you can write your lyrics on. I really don't like writing lyrics on my phone. I don't know, there's just something about it. It feels way less personal on my phone than it does like with my pencil on my paper. I would also say use a pencil, because then you can like cross it out or erase it or just like get rid of it. It's always good to like have all of your ideas there. When you have like a voice memo on your, or not a voice memo, like a note on your phone where you put your lyrics down and then you delete them, then they're gone. I just like to have everything, that like all of my ideas in one spot so I can visually see them. And then, you know, when I go to track my vocals, I've got my paper in front of me and I'm singing what's on my paper. That's really helpful for me. When I'm writing lyrics, is just to write it down physically. Do you guys like have a certain way that you like to do it? Maybe that you want to share? 'Cause, you know, again, I don't always do that. I prefer to, but sometimes maybe I thought of an idea and I'm already on my phone and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to write it down on my phone, you know? I don't know if you want to say something about that, but while you guys are thinking about like the way that you like to write lyrics, something kind of controversial, I don't know, maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not. Some of my songs are about nothing. They really are. It can be great to write a song about something that you are passionate about, or something you want to say, or a message that you're trying to communicate. But sometimes you just like write a song or write a track that you really like. You're ready to put vocals to it and you don't have something to write about necessarily. You scatted your melody and the lyrics are just going to be something that sounds good. Like it sounds, you know, like something communicating a message. You do want to try and communicate something, but maybe it isn't personally like relevant to you. I think that's okay. And a lot of songs like Phoenix, for example, if you know the band Phoenix, if you listen to their lyrics, it's like, what are they even talking about at all? None of the lines go together whatsoever. There's no message to the song. Like, what? I don't even know. I think that is really totally fine to do. Don't think that you have to be writing about something, but also don't be afraid to push yourself to write about something, because I don't always just write about nothing. Like, for instance, this song is about something that I was trying to communicate. But, you know, a lot of my songs really are about nothing, and a lot of my friends write songs that aren't about a specific topic. I don't usually write vocals, but definitely better to physically write it than type it, yeah. Or even, I would argue, like, typing it, like, into a Google Doc where you have all of this space to then, like, make different sections to your notes is even better than writing on your phone. So I don't know. Maybe your phone would be like the last resort to me, unless you're like, this is definitely the idea. I want it to be this. Let me just record it. Then I would say that. Yes, I love your commentary in the chat. The big wet coach. Not every song has to be a diary entry, but also not every song has to be a shopping list. Man, some insight here. Like, maybe we should do a dual live stream, and then you can set it up, and we'll use your computer and your Ableton, and then I'll just talk. And then we won't have any of these issues, and you can tell everyone all of your interesting insight. Do we have any other questions? I know there's 11 of you in here? Do any of you have questions for me? FL Studio instead of Ableton. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'll have to. That's going to be tough. What's more important? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Let me make sure that I touched on everything here. So basically, we listened to my song. That was great. It was great. It was not buffering at all. I guess, let's just do a little summary here. So we listened through the song back and forth. And then we also listened to From You, which was on Goldie and Finch 5. And then earlier in the stream, I touched on playing or singing in what key works for you, finding your voice and where you sound best and where you feel most comfortable, and really leaning into that. Harmonies, super important for adding dimension to your tracks, or maybe just something to add more interest where you feel like it's boring. Harmonies can be used for that, and doubles can be used to sort of thicken up your mix. Lyrics, yeah. Talked about scatting, finding a melody that kind of works, and then fitting some lyrics to it. I didn't mention another technique that I use is maybe I do have a really solid idea for what I want it to be about. So I have lyrics, or not even lyrics, just thoughts written down, and I want to put a melody to that. Sort of like a reverse scat. You'll use your lyrics first to create a melody rather than creating a melody and then putting lyrics to it. So that's another great way to come up with either lyrics or melodies. And then I've got vocals as an instrument, using that bed of ooze, OOHS, not OOZE, using that as an instrument when you feel like your mid-range might be lacking and a guitar or a synth isn't cutting it. Don't think of your vocals just as something you're using to sing. Think of them as vocal chops or like a rhythm or texture. Increasing the dynamics of your mix. It's a real tool, and it's not just something that has to be there because you have to sing on your songs. Vocal chops. I also put in here that sometimes if I'm just tired of hearing myself sing, vocal chops can be great because then you don't have to listen to yourself sing anymore, and it's just a little part of your vocal that you can make sound exactly the way you want it to and layer it all in the right way that you want it to. It's great. And then I think, we showed some of the workflow in Ableton of making vocal chops. Is there anything else that you guys want me to touch on before I go? Thank you so much again for letting me do this. I know the beginning was a little shaky, but that's life. And that is what making music is, because it's really hard. And let me just say, if it looks like it's easy in any way, it's hard for everyone. No one makes songs every day that they love, and you go through waves, and there's things that I might be great at that people aren't, or things that people are great at that I suck at, super insightful. Yeah. I wish we had YouTube going too, but yeah, okay. Well, I think I've said everything. Thank you guys again for having me, and I love this. Yeah. Okay, now I gotta figure out how to end the stream. Okay. I'm Molly Otto, by the way.